Good morning. First of all, thank you very much to Dr. Bedekar. He thought I was capable enough to come here, launch the program, and more of all sit on the same dais where Dr. Kakodkar is there. I had a great opportunity to spend almost 5 hours yesterday with him in the train. And those were the incentives that attracted me here to come to Bhubaneswar. Because I belong to the same area. So coming to Konkan is always a great thing for me. And subject is something which is very close to my heart. Last many years I have been teaching myself, spending at least once Saturday, every Saturday, at least 3 hours to 4 hours with the young students, especially management students. And every time I don't know what I taught, and I don't know what students got, but every time, every lecture, I got myself a lot to learn from them. Now, whether skills can be taught, skills have to be inborn, skills can be developed by people themselves, are the debatable points that let social scientists do it. But my own experience, I come from a typical middle class family. Nobody in history of our family probably has done any business. I don't know why I thought of it, but I did think after finishing my CA, ICWS, CS, London Business School. I first went into catering business, food industry. I'm still on the board of SAT's subsidiary in Singapore, which does remote catering. And I can still tell you how to plan a pantry and how to start a restaurant and how to plan the menu. Obviously, I developed love and passion for food, which is very obvious from my appearance. And then at some point of time, I thought I should get into the new area, which I chose to be IT. I joined Tata's, and then in '93 we started a company called iFlex. But again, we didn't want to start a company which is one more IT service company. We said, no, we should create something which is a product up on the value chain, and not for Indian market, but for the global market. Because many of us believe that we are doing great if I'm doing great in Bhubaneswar, in Maharashtra, in India. But I think we should create something which is unique in the world and give something to the world. So we started this company, created the product, and consecutively for 7 years it became largest selling product in the world. And 130 countries, from a place called Vanuatu, which is east of New Zealand, to Western Samoa, there are more than 700 financial institutions are still using that software. And then at the age of 50, I said I must do something different now, because we are successful. What we did, we created a lot of value for shareholders, stakeholders. And then we sold the company to Oracle. So we started with $1 million, 4 crore rupees. We sold it to Oracle for around 24,000 crore rupees. That's the value creation that a product company can do, which service companies probably can't do. And then I said I must get into the new area. So I started studying molecular biology and biotechnology. Idea was that our lifespan is going to grow. All of us who have made a lot of money in meanwhile are going to spend at least 1/3 money of that into our well-being. And if the life expectancy is going to grow, and the current medical system, with all due respect to all doctors here, does not cure any disease, but convert everything into chronic. So as a pharma company, I'm happy because you keep on popping my pills throughout your life. And therefore, the world started looking at technology which can actually cure, or even the diagnosis that we make can be predictive diagnosis. And I can be told 10 years in advance that I'm going to have diabetes, I'm going to have cardiac problem and so on. So I can change my lifestyle. So doctors turning to be disease managers, they should be healthcare people. So healthcare is very important. So I thought that should be the area where I should, and 1/3 amount of everybody's income is going to get spent on healthcare, I should get something out of it. So we got into biotechnology. How I got the idea initially is I was in Paris in one of the nice restaurant, and I met a scientist who was working already on dental pulp stem cells. This was in 2008 when we had decided to sell it to Oracle. And I was already on the board of pharma company, so I understood a little bit on pharmacology and so on. And he, while talking, said this is the next era of mesenchymal stem cells, which will change completely all degenerative issues that human body has. I think mesenchymal stem cells have regenerative capabilities, and they can help. Did some more studies and thought this is the area I should get in. And next 2 years I went around the world, met a lot of scientists. I won't say I developed those skills, but I at least tried to get the knowledge, trying to convince myself that this is the area I should be getting in. And decided ultimately we started 3 companies. We currently operate for the last 4 years on dental pulp stem cells, and we're already getting into research. The point I'm making is anyone, and especially the youngsters, who create or convince themselves some kind of conviction that this is my conviction and I will try it out. I think they must try this. And that is the first skill that they should develop themselves. In sports, I always practiced weightlifting. I was weightlifting champion in university. But today I like boxing. Why? Because boxing, you don't lose because you fall, but you lose because you don't get up again. So falling in boxing is not a problem. You don't lose it. But if you don't get up again, I think entrepreneurship is exactly like that. You will fall. You will definitely fall. If you don't fall, something wrong with your business model. But how quickly you can get up and how gracefully you can get up is very, very important. And I don't know how many parents are here, but I think it requires an ecosystem within family itself for a youngster who has failed in his first venture to come up again. And certain communities in India have that ecosystem available. Maharashtrians, very rarely you see that ability or ecosystem. But along with acquiring those skills, I think the parents and the ecosystem, the family and society should also be taught how the entrepreneur should be created within themselves. You need passion. A huge passion, again, which can't be taught. But the passion comes out of that conviction. Today you asked me to talk about biotechnology. I've last 4 years, or last 2 years rather I would say, I've been giving lectures to doctors in various hospitals, trying to make them understand. Fortunately, they introduced me as Dr. Ghaisas and I keep quiet. But after the question answer session, I tell them I'm a chartered accountant, not a doctor. But doctors have a bad habit of not listening to anybody other than doctors. So, and you can see all 3 doctors here and I'm the only person without doctorate. But that passion gives a little bit of madness, and that madness is utmost required for starting any venture. And I can assure you that India is poised at the right ecosystem or environment, both economic, social, and geopolitical. It is not just enough to say that we have got demographic advantage, that youngest India and so on and so forth. But what the youngsters are going to do is very, very important, because it is either very, very beneficial or either very, very dangerous situation. We require 10 million jobs every year. That's what the government data shows. Obviously, we don't have those many. The students are going out and working. And we had a lot of debates on televisions last 2 months whether what happened to Facebook and Microsoft and so on is good for India or not good for India. Why we can't have Microsoft here? Why we can't have Oracle here created? Why Indians are going and making someone else rich? But unless that ecosystem would have got created then, very few people like Dr. Kakodkar would have served or thought of not going to US and working here and serving the country. But if the ecosystem is there, I think more and more people will do that. And what I've seen, at least in technology, that many people who have made their monies and want to run a second inning are coming back to India to do startups. So along with my ventures in biotechnology, another area that I'm working on is that we have created 2 funds called Xfinity. The first one is of 150 crores, and now second fund we are closing now of around 250 crores. And the third one we already started working on. In the first one we got so much of energy because after launching it or while launching it, within 18 months we got 400 entrepreneurs approaching us. And while in IT industry, in NASCOM and so on, and I was chairman of product companies in India, one thing I realized that all these startups and youngsters like people sitting behind, they need $1 or $2 million of 6 crore to 10 crore rupees. Now the angel capitalists can't fund that much money because they can give up to a crore. If they go to VCs, that is venture capitalists, they don't entertain them because their minimum ticket size is $10 million to $15 million. So nobody is servicing this middle part of the entrepreneurs. And that's the reason we started this fund, saying that we'll do only this part. We'll be early investors. We will not give money to people who are just showing us a PowerPoint presentation. So they should have the product or whatever the concept actually in the market. And tenure will be around 3 to 5 years to 7 years, so that either the VC enters or they do get sold or bought by somebody else. 400 ideas were shown to us. We took 18 ideas and funded them in the last 18 months. But the kind of ideas that we got, we thought of second fund. And now while we have started closing the second fund, again there is a plethora of ideas which are getting thrown at us. And these are all new innovative ideas. So Indians can think. And my total belief is, and that's what I was talking to them in the morning, that the youngsters can think much, much differently than what we could think. And probably this is a generation gap, and which is very, very natural. But the people who were born before independence were probably thinking of surviving. Our generation is a migratory generation where we saw the offices without computers, and now we work with emails and computers and tabs. But all you youngsters have never seen an office without computer or home without computer. So you are residents of digital era, and you have got tremendous opportunity. And next 5 minutes I'm going to explain a couple of ideas that we worked on, and which I liked. I mean, stem cells is part of that, but which I'm working myself separately. But here is a guy who has worked in US, in California. He's an electrical engineer. He got a couple of more friends with him, and they have developed algorithm and some kind of a black box that intelligently controls the way in which electricity is consumed. And to my surprise, what I learned from them, and which I verified, that almost 17 to 18% of power consumption in this world happens in data centers. And when I went and visited Yahoo data center, it is bigger than 4 or 5 football fields. So you can imagine the amount of power that gets consumed. And when these people approached us, They already had captured the beta site presentation to Yahoo. And as I talk, they have completed the beta site run, and they have shown 18% reduction in power cost. And this is only the first stage, because that entire data center was not designed with their architecture, but they used only the algorithms to ensure that power distribution and generation is right. Now I'm sure these guys needed money in the first place to expand. The pain point was very clear. Power saving, not from only social point of view, but from cost point of view as well, was very important, and thought these guys will do a good job. So we did that. So we already invested. Personally, I invested because I just liked them, so I co-invested. Second thing was, again, husband from Stanford University, wife has worked with Intel on artificial intelligence. The pain point they saw that all over the world, the CCTV cameras are working day in and day out, and they're just storing images after images 24/7. Right? In our offices, in our hotels, in houses, and on the roads, everywhere. Huge requirement of storage. Why we need to keep on shooting all the time? So now what they have developed is an algorithm or a product which can sit with your CCTV camera and server, which is trigger-based recording. And what trigger, which I can define as a user. For example, my kids are supposed to be studying in the room, and both of us are out. So I just put a CCTV camera, which otherwise is recording 24/7, that if my children's door gets opened, start recording. And not only start recording, send me an SMS. So I know exactly what kids are doing, where they're going. Now, whether inside the room they're studying or not is something I can't read the mind of theirs. But same thing I can use as a security for that. But same thing also I can use if my whole parents are in the house, whether they've taken the medicine or not. The moment they take medicine, it records it and sends me an SMS, it's done. I'm happy. Same thing can happen on the roads. Can you imagine, therefore, the storage requirement of these images will come down by almost 80%. And then if at all any retrieval is required, it is very easy rather than just going through 24/7 recording. Point I'm making is, by giving these two ideas, is that this is how the entrepreneurship starts. You get the idea first because you have seen something. Another classic example is redbus.com, where I'm an Ahmedabad student, could not get a bus ticket for himself from Ahmedabad to Hyderabad, and then he studied the whole thing and started this redbus.com. I met this guy, we have worked with him. But the kind of passion that he had, it was very difficult to get all unorganized bus drivers or bus companies to get together. But equivalent to the railway reservation system, yes, he could create the bus reservation system. And today you can book the bus from anywhere to anywhere by even switching the bus operators. So ideas should not be just an idea. But the ideas we get every day, every morning, every evening. Whether the idea is relevant in the first place to the world, is it going to solve somebody's problem? That's the second question that I would ask. If the technology I'm going to use is going to be sustainable technology or a futuristic technology or something which is old, which will be overcome. And am I going to create any IPR, intellectual property rights, which will have some created entry barrier for others to get in so that I can make some money or I can create value. These 2 or 3 things or 4 things, if you keep in mind and put your presentation right in the minimum possible words. When my mentor, guy called Bill Comfort, who is chairman of Citigroup Venture Capital, 78-year-old guy, full of wisdom, he told me a story first, that when Cisco promoters wanted the funding as an entrepreneur, startup, they came with a huge 60 pages presentation and gave it to him. And he just kept aside the presentation and said, tell me in one line what you want to do. And the Cisco promoter said, sir, I want to create network of networks. He said, money is given to you. In one line, if you can explain your idea, then you have understood the idea. So keep the minimum things, be clear in your mind, test it first, test it in the market, see it is relevant, see it is solving somebody's problems, or it is going to create a requirement. Like Steve Jobs, none of us wanted iPhone, none of us wanted iPod. We were happy with the Walkman or whatever we had before. But he created the need, and when he created the need, he changed the complete Apple strategy. Today, all the youngsters don't even remember that Apple had a computer once upon a time. They all know this as an acoustic company or iPhone company. So they are in telecom, they are in entertainment, they are in computing, and no other computer company could manage. No Microsoft, no Dell, no HP. Everybody tried, but they failed because their strategy was different. This guy's strategy was entirely. He created requirement. If you are strong enough, you can create that requirement. Go ahead and do it. An advantage that you got sitting here is that you have got the same knowledge base available as a guy in Massachusetts or a guy in Stanford at the same time, and you are seeing the different market very closely, and you can feel their requirements and needs very closely. If you can feel their pain points and try to solve them here, I think you can win it. And it won't matter how small or how big your idea is. What value it will create is very important. All along my childhood in typical middle class family, I was told, I heard always that money is not everything. And it's so right. Only thing you should know when to say this. You should be saying this only when you have a lot of money with you. And the passion, again I'm closing my remarks with a story. Howsoever small you are, you should have the pride in what you're doing. And that's the skill of entrepreneur. So I was traveling once with in business class to London, and there was a young Gujarati guy sitting with me. And obviously I asked him, so where are you going? So he said, Europe. London first and then Europe. So which industry are you in? Some textile. I said, textile what? He said, no, I manufacture these labels that are put on apparels. So what should be the cost of it? He said, between 50 paisa to 15 rupees. Such a small product, you are traveling business class, having Europe tour for business promotions. Something different. How is it possible? Affordable. He said, sir, what shirt you're wearing? I said, maybe Arrow shirt. You know how much it costs? The 300 rupees. You know how much you paid for it? 1200 rupees. Why did you pay 900 rupees extra? Because my label is there. Now, if you have that pride in your anything that you're doing, that passion, that conviction, and if institution like this is supporting you with required skills that can be taught, I think the only thing that you can get is success. All the best.